Welcome back. Welcome into the Lion's Share Hurry Up Edition, shorter form today. We'll hear from us and the guys in just a moment. We've got the B side, as we'll call it, for free agency. We spoke in the last episode about the A side, some of the bigger names. These guys, not to take anything away from them, a little lesser, more depth pieces, maybe some starters in here, but we'll touch on that in just a minute. We've got a six-pack of guys that have been signed since the last time we graced your ears, shareholders. Thanks for being here. As we approach 200 episodes, don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, like, and rate us 5 stars on all the platforms. We'd really appreciate it. It goes a long way. Six-pack of names. We've got Tyler Conklin, tight end. Fire up chips. 2 DBs, Christian Isian, I believe is how you pronounce that last name. Roger McCreary, another DB. Damone Clark, linebacker. DJ Wanham, edge. Did the Lions get their edge after losing the Prophet? We'll see. And Greg Dortch, the latest one, a wide receiver with a connection from his time in Arizona with the Lions' new OC, Drew Petzing. And of course, the re-signees, Trevor Nowaski and Tom Kennedy. We'll finish out with a little talk about, the Kyler Murray to Minnesota. Without further ado, let's kick it to ourselves. I will start my list with Christian Isian, the safety, coming over from Tampa Bay. The Bucs fans really like this guy, somebody they felt strongly about, somebody that they wanted the Bucs to re-sign, and were upset that the Lions poached his services. I think this guy's got potential to be in the starter role among this six-pack that we're going through. This guy might be the most eligible for a starting role, especially with Brian Branch coming off that injury. I think it's mostly to cover up some of the areas that BB was playing, but also some insurance there for Kirby Joe, because we know there's some uncertainty there for the safety position. Next, I'm going to go with a similar guy here, Roger McCreary, really solid nickel cornerback, and I guess this is maybe more of the Amik replacement, another guy that I think has starting potential, especially in a safety, defensive back, cornerback room that has some uncertainty with injuries and playing abilities right now for the Detroit Lions. That secondary has some holes in it, and I think nonetheless, regardless, Roger and Christian, both of these guys are going to get playing time due to those circumstances. And I think, if nothing else, some really necessary depth pieces in that secondary. Let's go with Tyler Conklin. Fire up chips next. Now, this is a guy that came from Central Michigan, of course. Really strong career in college, and, pretty solid career there in the North with Minnesota. Really ramped up his production over the years and earned himself a better contract with the Jets, and he had some good years with the Jets. Jets did not keep him as he approached 30, and the Chargers took over with his services. And the Chargers, he really didn't have a big role with them. Coming from the Jets, he had a starting role and a big role in that offense. Chargers didn't utilize him to that full potential, I don't think, and hard to say what all was involved there. Thought Harbaugh would, use his tight ends a little bit more, or specifically Tyler. Obviously, there were other tight ends there. But I think we'll see a slight resurgence here with Tyler Conklin back in the state of Michigan. Excited to see what he brings. Was a guy that I thought maybe they would go after. I wasn't sure. He's getting up there in age, about 31 years old. It will be at least at the start of the season. So if nothing else, good insurance there behind Sam Laporta and a better tight end option than they've had with Zylstra and some of the others. Where do we want to go next? Let's go DJ Wanham. Some of these names, pretty hard to pronounce. DJ, kind of the replacement for Al-Quadin Muhammad, the Prophet, shout out Papa B, got him for about the same price, or I think maybe the exact same price as Muhammad got. This is a guy that didn't have as many sacks as the Prophet did, not as much production, but I think he'll be able to be more versatile and play against the run and against the pass. The Prophet was, let's be real, he was a pass rusher. That's all he really had in his arsenal, in his tool bag, and limited against the run. that's probably why the Lions wanted to move on from him. DJ, a little more versatile. Maybe not as explosive, but a little more versatile, can play more than just third down, more than just the pass rush downs. So I like it for the versatility and the depth. Still need more edge, whether that's in the draft or otherwise, but more to come there. This second to last guy, Damone Clark, linebacker coming over from the Houston Texans. I don't know as much about this guy. You may hear my mouse in the background. I'm going to look him up real fast here. Was with Dallas and Houston. So he spent all his career in Texas, 6'3", 240 linebacker. Obviously, we know the linebacker room real strong for the Lions. Lost Anzalone, but filled that in with some help there from Rodrigo, and of course the greatest linebacker, shout out Mufasa, in the league, Jack Campbell. Extension coming soon, I'm sure. And then of course Derek Barnes, and some others, and Trevor Nowatzki, who I'll touch on in a minute. So nonetheless, Damone Clark, good depth piece, a younger guy, only 25 or 26, I believe, maybe 26 by the end of this start of this season. So if nothing else, a good depth piece. Hasn't had a ton of protection, hasn't had a ton of opportunity, I don't think. Maybe he gets his chance here with the Lions. Greg Dortch, another guy I don't know a ton about. Obviously, he's got the connection with Drew Petzing, the OC. He is 5'7", 180, short guy. Shout out to the 5'7" crew. Small, bless you, Winston. He's sneezing. This guy, he is 27, going on 28 by the start of the season. So younger guy, probably going to play that leaf role, and probably going to fight for position on the wide receiver room, but also in that kick and punt return. Maybe utilize more in that field, as they did bring back TK, which I'll go to next. The returnees. Tom Kennedy, great to see, especially with Leaf leaving. Tom Kennedy and Greg Dortch, these new guys, probably going to fight it out in training camps. Trevor Nowatzki, more depth at the linebacker position. SVSU product, shout out. And a really good piece, really good team guy over the years with this team. So in and out of the practice squad. Love having him back for depth and just the speed that he brings against some of the mobile quarterbacks. Lastly, interested, I guess, in some Cam Jordan, maybe potentially. He said he's down to 3 teams. He wants to be with the Saints, but price has got to be right, he said. So, Dan's got the connection with NOLA. Shout out Papa B. And Cam Jordan, obviously been in the league a long time, a huge player over the years, a veteran nonetheless, but would have some in the tank, I think, and I would kick the tires on him. Ben Bartsch, guard from the 49ers. Truthfully, don't know much about this guy, but I believe he's a younger cat. And hey, all the offensive line depth in my book is good, so wouldn't be upset with either of those two joining the squad. Lastly, Kyler Murray going to the Vikings. This is interesting to me. Obviously, 9. J.J. McCarthy took the starting role last year. Seems as though they're ready to move on from him, at least for the time being. I don't know how much of a competition this will be between Kyler and JJ. I think it's Kyler's job, but more will come from training camp. But if it is Kyler, will the Vikings compete for the North? That's the question. They finished 3rd, right above the Lions last year. Obviously had 2 wins against the Lions last year. Yikes, those were some tough games. And that was with JJ. So does Kyler present more of an issue for the Lions in competing with the North, with the Packers and the Bears as well? I don't know. I think Kyler makes them better. Kevin O'Connell, great head coach. So you got a couple boxes checked there. Kevin O'Connell is great with any quarterback, and I think you'll see success. I think you'll see Kyler have a little resurgence here in his career as he tailed off in Arizona. I think Kyler's going to do well. I don't know about the rest of the team, though. They've lost a lot on both sides of the ball. For me, the question mark is not the quarterback. It is everywhere else on that offense and defense. The offensive line has its holes. Defense was really strong under Flores. Still is. Just he gets the Flores bump, that defense does, but they're missing some guys, and they're letting a lot of guys go, and they're in an interesting kind of not rebuild position, but in an in-between stage, and those can get messy. So I don't think the Vikings compete too heavily for the North, but again, I think it's going to be another year where all these teams hover at 500 or better, because You just got a lot of good head coaches in this division, I should say. And so I think it's going to be competitive for years to come, regardless of rosters. Let's go, Lions.
All right, Lions fans, shareholders, here we are, catching me after the ice cream hour. I'm fed. I'm a happy boy. I might fall asleep, though. So if you hear that snore, you just fast forward a little bit. I'm sure you'll get Mufasa's notes after mine, or possibly I could be last. Yet to know. We'll start out with our returners. And speaking of returners, Tom Kennedy, fan favorite, back in action. Welcome to the squad once again. Nowaski, Saginaw Valley guy. Thank you, Ben, for touching on that. Can't forget that. He's back, going to help out the linebacking crew. Miles Adams, some beef in the center at the D-line position. Glad he's back. And Yassine, I believe we touched on him in the last episode, but another cornerback back. He's been getting some actual minutes. So you got a little more faith in him going forward. To get to our newbies, I don't know what Brad's doing in Arizona. Maybe he vacations there, but it seems like we're cooking up quite a few moves with these guys. Not mad about it. We're going to bring in Greg Dortch. He's going to be the first one we'll touch on. Claims to be a man of grit, comes from the mud. So this is a Dan guy, fits what he's all about. Let's see what you got, man. I'd love to see some touchdowns. Looks like he had some touchdowns in his career with Arizona, so let's continue that over here. DJ Wanham. Don't know a whole lot about him, but I can guarantee you he gets a sack. It's DJ Spin that shit. Tommy, cut that out though, because that's a curse word. Damon Clark. Got a guy from the Texans. Apparently wore number 18 at LSU, the leadership jersey, like our boy Mekhi Wingo. Speaking of, got to step up this year, buddy. But Damon, I think he's going to be a really good rotational guy. I think he's going to get some actual valuable minutes, and he seems to be like a good player. McCreary, Raj, as he likes to be called. High school mascot was a lion. That's pro. His con, he's a baked beans as his cheat meal kind of guy. Gross. Moving on. Tyler Conklin, welcome home, brother. What more can we say? Dan got himself another tight end here. You know he wanted another. You know he probably wants at least one more. Watch out for that 5th round, like Ben was saying, for another tight end here. And Christian Izien, last but not least. Seems like a no-nonsense kind of guy. Seems like he kind of wants to just come in, prove what he's all about. Blue collar, go home at the end of the day. Welcome to Detroit, brother. One last note, Pacheco. Watched a video on him working out. Completely sold on this guy. I shouldn't have ever doubted Mufasa. He was completely right. We got ourselves a steal there. And Ben, to touch on your notes on Kyler, that kid's going to get stepped on. Not worried. Papa B out. Let's go, Lions.
Lions share another voice memo from your boy Mufasa. I'm going to keep this one nice and brief. I'm not going to be able to exceed what Ben did in terms of coverage for the signings, the re-signings, and where we're interested. And as always, Papa B bringing a little bit of that flair. So, Tommy, you're going to have to slot me in third. I think instead I'm just going to kind of focus on Cam Jordan specifically. Again, Ben did a really good job covering the pieces that the Lions have already added. And I spoke on the last episode, my last voice memo, on what I think the biggest pieces are. And hopefully it's Freeling and we can get solidified at left tackle. Talked about it a little bit. I know the boys did too, about what are they going to do with Sewell? Where are they going to move him? I think I'm with Andrew a little bit here. Like, let's just solidify that right side of the line and go get that true left tackle. And then feels like we're really locked in for the next 4 years or more potentially at least 4 out of the starting 5 offensive linemen. So, listen, I would love to get Cam Jordan. That's what I wanted to talk about. I think it seems likely that he's going to end up back with the Saints. Don't blame him at all. Career guy there. He's obviously about to enter his age 37 season. So veteran dude, one of the consummate pros, voice of the NFL, voice of the players, seems really down to earth. Value of the contract is there. Still can get the guy you can get production out of, but I love pairing Cam Jordan with Hutch. I think Hutch, who's already so explosive and has proved that he's one of the most impactful, best defensive ends, pass rushers in the league, give him that veteran influence where he can really learn from a guy like Cam Jordan. And I think it accelerates Hutch's career even more. And I think Sport Track is valuing Cam Jordan like 6.7 to the high end of 8 million for a 1-year contract. So listen, I think it'd be great if they could somehow convince Cam Jordan, hey, come train Hutch. Let's make a run at this thing. We think we have the roster, which they still do. They still have a really strong roster. I think even with the levers, with some of the moves they've made. So I hope they get Cam Jordan. I think that'd be a great pair for Hutch. You obviously still have, Tyleek talked about how we want Aleem to do better on the interior, but then I think your starting defensive 11 is in a really, really good spot. Again, with some of the, with Jack Campbell, best in the league, and some of the re-signings with Rodrigo and Nowaski as kind of an edge or linebacker, and, the free agent moves they've made. So I'm big on Cam Jordan. If you want some high level analysis, start with Ben, go to Andrew, and then end with me. And that's where you'll get a good Lions share feel of what Brad has done in the offseason. He's making a lot of base layer moves to make the team stronger, not focusing on the big splashy things. That's not been Brad. That's never going to be Brad. People are starting to dog on Brad for that. I don't understand it, but that's where we're at. That's what's made the Lions a successful franchise. So that's where I'm at. Listen to what the boys say, and we'll get a live recording in here soon for all of our ravenous fans.